Hello everyone and welcome back, welcome back. Today we are covering the text property, the actual, the text shadow property that is, excuse me. It's hard to talk with my mask over my face. Anyways, today we're covering CSS and the text shadow property. But before we actually get started, let's give a big warm shout out to Alana. I love you sis from Alana. So Alana, what are you going to do today? All right, you let me know and give me a call back later, okay? All right, love you. All right, today let's go on ahead and get started. CSS and the text shadow property. Go on ahead and get your Visual Studio Code open and let's get going. All right, looking for my mouse over here. Excuse me. Okay, there we go. All right, and so what we're going to do, I believe you have your Visual Studio Code open, and if you do not, I'll give you a chance to actually do that. And as far as me, if you can see that I have it already up and running, so I'm going to open up two new files, and the first one is going to be, we'll just call it exactly what we're working with. We're working with the text shadow, so text shadow. .html, and where did that go? There it is. And we're going to add another file as well, and that one's going to be the text shadow CSS file. Of course, it's a small property, so we could actually include it, but since we've been adding them separately, let's just go on ahead and continue to do that. And text shadow .css, if I can spell it. All right, and now that we got those two up and running, let's go on ahead and open that up with Live Server, just so we can actually see what we're working with here. And give that a second to open up. All right, and then from there, I'll squeeze that over to the left, squeeze this over to the right. We'll close this, and we will shrink that. All right, and I think we can get rid of this too. And let's get some actual bare bones markup here. And for the title, it's just going to be text shadow, since that's what we're working with. Obviously, you can name this anything you would like. And we are going to need to actually add the actual CSS file to the actual HTML page. So let's go on ahead and do that. Otherwise, our CSS file or our CSS that we actually work with is not going to work at all. And we did call this text shadow. And if you notice, Visual Studio and other code editors as well, but Visual Studio Code does pretty much show you exactly what's in your directory. So we're going to use the first one. I'm just going to press tab since it's already there. All right, and let's split this over to the right by right-clicking on the tab and click split to the right. I'll close it here, and at least this way we can see both. And let's do a quick little refresh. Let's get some dummy text here. We're only going to need really just one word because text shadow, it's quick and easy. So we'll put a paragraph, and inside that paragraph we'll do some fake text of lorem, and we'll just leave it like that. And we do see it to the actual left, so that is good. And now what we can do is, let's see here, let's try to make it look a little easier on our eyes. So let's change the font for that first. So first what we're going to need to do is target the actual paragraph tag. All right, we'll start our rule with the curly braces. And from there, I just want to change the font first. Obviously, we're going to be working with the text shadow, but I like to make it look a little easier on the eyes. So let's do that. So I'm just going to use font family for the property, and the value is going to be the first one, Arial. All right, so now the text is actually changed to the left, and let's make the text size a little bit bigger as well. We'll do font size. And we'll just go with 20 pixels. All right, looking good. And now what we can do, let's actually add the text shadow property. Okay, so there's going to be 3 values for this. Okay, and what we're going to do is we're going to set those like this. We'll do 0, 0, and 0, and an actual color. So for our color, I already have a color already set, so I'm going to use 095. Okay, and so how these actual numbers work. So the first number is actually going to represent the actual shadow from the left. So if I were to do, let's just put in 5px, 5px, and 5px all the way around. So you notice now to the left, you see a little shadow already. Okay, so this first number represents the actual shadow from the left. All right, the middle number here is going to represent the shadow, whether it's going to be above the text or below the text. And then, of course, the last number here is going to be the actual blur effect. All right, so let's actually play around with these numbers, but let's play around with them in the actual console. So I'm going to right click on that, click inspect, and go right here. Okay, so in the actual console, all right, so I said the first number represents the actual how far the shadow is from the left. So if I bring that down, you notice the shadow actually move in. If I bring it up to 18, you can see that shadow actually moving over. I'm already at 76 pixels. And so that shadow is way over there. And you know what, just to increase this, let's increase the font to 40 so we can see it a little easier. And back in the console, so again, that first number represents the left amount of shadow. Okay, so if I bring it up to about 45 pixels, you can see it there. Okay, so we'll leave it out at, let's say 20, and this is only in the console. So once we kind of like that, then we can go over to our actual CSS file and say if we like that, we'll just put it in our code and then we'll leave it there. So now you see the actual adjusted amount right there. So the second amount is actually the top and bottom blur effect. So if I go up or down from that, let's see, now I'm at 25 pixels. So pretty much if I go back to 0, it's going to be even with the actual text, with the original text that we have. Okay, so if I go back up, now we're back to 20. If I want to go up to 40, 50, so that's how far it's going. Now we can use a negative number as well. So if I go back to 0 and I want that blur effect on the top, then I'll just use the negative value. See that? So let's say we want it there. All right, I'll leave it at -20. And then I'll go to my actual screen here and just put in -20. All right, and then last but not least, the actual blur effect, which is the third value. So let's play with that. If I bring it down to 0, there's no blur effect at all. I just have a duplicate actual text. But if I bring it up, now it's very blurry. If I bring it down to about 12 or 11, bring it down to 5, so now we have a small amount of blur. And that's it. That's all there is to the actual text value for the actual text shadow property and the different values. You can change those colors. You can actually play with those colors right here and give it any type of color that you would actually want. But yet again, another CSS property that you have now added to your arsenal. And again, the more text properties, the more actual CSS rules and properties and values that you actually learn, the better you are going to be at actually web development itself. Because again, you have to continue to add these tools to your utility belt before you can go into the battle and build an actual web application or web page. Other than that, subscribe to the channel. Leave a comment if you are stuck on anything. Give a couple of likes if you'd like as well. And if you get stuck, you can always email me as well. All right. Other than that, full stack out.